Good morning, everyone. This is Calling to Our podcast, 7th special edition, and my name is Saso. I'm the host of this episode today. 안녕하세요, 여러분. 전화 걸어서 세계 속으로 7번째 스페셜 에디션, 그들의 코리아를 호스트를 맡게 된 사소입니다. 반갑습니다. So far we had 6 special editions in our podcast, and this is extremely special because of 3 reasons. So first reason, this episode will be the only episode that Saso, will be the host, because our main host, Yuzaka, is in Korea, and we are recording here in studio in Canada. And we don't have enough money to afford to bring her here, so we just gave up on her, so I'm sorry. Well, next reason is it's going to be 99% English basis podcast episode. The reason why it's 99% because I just spoke a little bit of Korean, right? But other than that, it will be all English basis. And the reason why we are doing that is because we have a lot of people who doesn't speak Korean, and we always wanted to show our work, our project, and maybe more participations having. Just like today, we have a lot of people here. The last reason, we have the largest member of episode here today. We have 2 amazing guests and 2 beautiful ladies as an audience. So welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
How are you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Good?
Awesome. Thank you for inviting.
I'm really sorry if I have to wake up early in this Saturday morning.
It's all right.
It's 10 a.m. on Saturday. Okay, maybe we can get to know each other more first. We should do ladies first, right?
Of course.
So Leora, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, and maybe why did you go to Korea and when did you go to Korea?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to participate in such an amazing podcast. I never had an experience, but it's a cool thing to share the Korean experience to those one who is going to visit Korea for the work or for studies. So again, my name is Leora. Hello to everyone, and 안녕하세요. I know Korean Chokom, and I lived in Korea for 3.5 years. It was 10 years ago, that's why I speak English, right? I lived in a city of Suwon-si. I pretty much sure that you know where it is located, nearby Seoul. So it was an amazing experience. Originally, I'm from Ukraine. I lived in Russia, Moscow, and then I moved to Korea with my family for 3.5 years. So in Canada, I have been living for almost 10 years. It's an amazing people, amazing culture, cool traditions, and that's I've done some work and projects in South Korea related between South Korea and Russia, especially far east part of Russia, and central part is Moscow and St. Petersburg. Mostly it was export and import cars and some other projects as well. And also I did a part-time job modeling, so it was 10 years ago. So that's about me. And in Canada, I was a student here. I graduated IBM International Business Management with honors, and I've been working in the education field in Canada for 8 years, and totally 10 years in education. Thank you.
Well, I'd say a little bit of yourself, but because she did too much,
Yeah.
she has a lot to say, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm that
Okay.
impressive.
It's okay. So yeah, what about you?
I'm
Your
Nick
name?
Pipitone. I was just in Korea actually in August, so I lived there for 2.5 years. I went to teach English after graduating university.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in Seoul, in Hongdae, and then in Gangnam as well. In
Hot
Shinsa.
place.
Yeah, hot place. Very busy and crazy, especially around night.
Mm-hmm.
I originally got the idea of going to Korea by through my roommate who I live with in university. He was an international student from Seoul, and just living with him for a couple years, and he was a year older than me, and he kind of was always talking about home, introducing Korean food and Korean culture to me. I became really interested in it because it was very, very different than Canadian culture, and I thought it gave me the ability to, you know, have international travel and work experience, as well as introduce myself into a brand new culture and work environment and a whole different types of norms, and it was an amazing experience. And I really enjoyed that.
So did you plan to go somewhere before and you chose Korea because of him, or you never go to East?
To be honest, going through university, I didn't think I'd move across the world. But just hearing about Korea through him, it got me very interested, and I had the ability to meet some of his Korean friends as well. And I was totally sold on it by the time I graduated, and 6 months later I got on a plane and flew across the world to a place I would live for the next 2.5 years.
Nice. Okay, before we get into the main topic, I just want to refer when we say Korea, it's South Korea.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Because we don't know much about North Korea.
South Korea,
and
yes.
we all have one life, right?
Yes.
Right,
So let's
right.
not,
Still
let's not
alive.
risk it. This is the first and last life. Okay, so I brought some questions. You can answer, like if you want to answer first, you can raise your hands. Or I probably call ladies first again.
Okay.
If you want to jump in, feel free to do that. If you want to washroom, just keep quiet and just go away because they can see you.
Yeah.
Okay. The first question is these are questions I like it, but this is my first favorite question. Who's your first friend in Korea? The reason why I'm asking is because I think the first friend in Korea is your first impression of the people in the country, and that's important, right? Sometimes they cheat, or sometimes they trick you, or sometimes they are very nice of you and you change your mind or something. So, Lira, do you want to go first?
Yes, thank you. That Gangnam style and Suwon style is completely different lifestyle. It's like Toronto and Hamilton. It was an amazing experience, and when we came to South Korea, I was so amazed of the how the country was developed. South Korea, of course. Since the airport and the way going to the apartment where we lived in a pretty much like Samson area. So it was amazing, and I was so impressed seeing a lot of kids. So it's a family country, so it's a lot of things going on, and I saw a lot of kids running around, mothers were with kids, and that's how I met my neighbor. And then eventually I met another person that we are talking about, the first Korean fan. So her name is Yan Sun Lee. We on Facebook, Yan-san, if you hear me, I love you so much. I love you, kids. Say hello to your family. She gave me a lot of things, and we still maintain our friendship. And I went to Korea recently, to South Korea, to Seoul for the business trip, and we've met there in a Gangnam area. She taught me a lot of things, how to cook, how to do basic things. It was an amazing experience. So that's about me. So thank you so much. I love you guys.
So yeah, this is the point, because when we had a Korean version of podcast, always we can only share with our families and relatives here, but because we do English, I can share with my coworkers, my friends, and your friends, your old friends. Yeah, it will be great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Leora.
Thank you.
What about you, Nick?
Well, definitely my first Korean friends, I would say, would be my coworkers. So working at a school, you're partnered with different co-teachers. So they were pretty essential to surviving over there, because when I first came, you don't really think about not being able to do the basics in a country where you can't read the language, speak the language. And although some people speak English in South Korea, not everyone does, or maybe they're too shy to speak to you. And so you really rely on your friends, I think, to help you out. And just even the basic things like setting up a bank account or ordering food, you can get it by, but you rely on your friends a lot in a country where you don't really understand too much to really help you out and get you going and functioning.
So he helped you a lot.
Most of the teachers were women, actually. So that was actually another interesting kind of dynamic that was different. Just like male to female friendships are different, I think, in Canada than in Korea, where it's hard to really explain fully, but there are some differences, I think. So it was a great first impression of my coworkers. They were super helpful and really helped me transition from Canada to Korea.
It's probably out of the topic, but when you talk about the male-female friends, in Asian culture, it's almost half and half. Half people say male and female can be a friend, and the other half cannot. But you actually feel in Canada, in Korea, that you can be friends with them, right? It means you didn't feel that before. Or you never had experience.
I definitely had female friends in Canada, but in Korea, like you said, there's people who think, men and women can't be friends. If they're friends, it's because they're interested in one another.
Yeah.
So even if you're friends with someone, you have to be careful, kind of, because where I could be friendly with a Canadian and they would just see that as normal. Like, this is just a normal friendship. Some people may think you're hitting on them or like you're interested in them. So you have to be a bit careful with how you act. But I definitely think I had female friends there.
Did you? I did.
Yeah.
I usually when I'm in Canada, I got a lot of help from females, and I usually call them my mother.
Yeah. Well,
did you ever do that, or?
I wouldn't call them my mother, but that's a good way to make sure there's no romantic feelings.
I'd rather suggest to call them Oni.
Oh yeah, or emo.
Yeah.
What about Leora? How do you feel with the male friends in Korea?
Well, for sure, first of all, it was like girls, like women around, right? Most of these families and kids around. I didn't have actually the friends like male friends, because it just didn't happen. Well, in a friendship, I found that Korean people I saw, it is the integrity and honesty, and they are so warm people. So if you say, they always wanted you to give on the street or anywhere you go some food, to try, because you see you're a foreigner. And I went in the early of 2000s, so it was even the start when foreigners, it wasn't a lot of foreigners, I'd say, except Seoul, Itaewon, right? So there was like American people, like mostly, right, and some Canadians. And Russians came from Far East, so there are like Russians as well, but not a lot. So, and I saw a really interesting shift from like 10 years ago and now time that, because I went recently there, it's an interesting because people like more open, they know more English, and they're like more, I'd say, more European Western style now, right? So like even clothing, like restaurants, small coffee shops, it's all cool and amazing. So again, talking about a female and a male, now I don't see those like huge difference that I saw like 10 years ago.
That's the point of it, actually. When I was in Korea, even 10 years ago, there weren't many foreigners, but now there are so many. But I feel like Korean was single race country for, I don't know, thousands of years, and we don't really know you guys a lot about it. So now we want to listen how you guys feel in Korea. How, like, whether we are doing good or bad.
I'd say, if you don't mind, that again, from my own experience, then 10 years ago, I was so amazed. I came from Moscow, from Russia, right? I was amazed how the new technology is so developed, the internet, like literally everything, the community things, the infrastructure, the international department, and Samsung. So 10 years ago, in Samsung had already the international department who would take care of all foreigners. I was so like impressed, and I didn't expect this whole thing that how is it developed so much, right? So it's just amazing shift. So South Korea is growing and it's amazing, and it's a developed country.
Thank you very much. There will be a portion of pros and cons of Korea, so you can mention
sure,
that again.
yeah.
But yeah, well, I think we can move on to next question. This is my other main host's favorite question. If you can import one food or one restaurant from Korea to Canada, what would you be?
Can I go first on this
yes.
one?
Sure.
You must be hungry.
Yeah, I'm always hungry. But I think this is kind of a guilty pleasure, but what has exploded kind of all over Korea is chicken and beer restaurants. They're everywhere. And one thing I definitely didn't expect going there was the love of fried chicken. I would never in a million years think Korea would be a place that loves fried chicken and beer. And my girlfriend and I often ordered chicken late at night to be delivered to our house.
So 4 meals a day.
Yeah, like Gyeocheon chicken, and I would definitely take that here in a heartbeat if I could.
Yeah, well, before we move on to Leora, I have a fun fact. You know how many McDonald's in the world, like many things, but there are more number of chicken restaurants in Korea than number of McDonald's in the world.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, you should check it out. So you can go anywhere, like they're competing each other. It's tasty and it's cheaper too. Right?
It's cheaper and it's delicious.
Yeah. Okay. So you ask government if they can if they can do FTA.
Anyone listening
to Hamilton,
this,
right?
Yes.
Probably thinks I'm like 500 pounds just from listening to how excited I was to talk about fried chicken.
Yeah. What about you, Leora?
Well, Russian style is like mostly potato and meat and a bread. And when I came to Korea, it was like mostly rice and no bread, veggies. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm going to be hungry. And all my family are going to be hungry. I started cooking. But then I discovered those small little restaurants everywhere. And it's much cheaper than cooking. So I would say 3 favorite food I'd like to bring to Korea. It's torsot bibimbap, chamchi kimbap, and kalbitan.
Very specific, very specific. I think they do in Toronto or sometimes, but it's kind of far away.
And of course, dessert. Of course, girls need a dessert, so it's a rice cookies probably. Yes.
Yeah, I went to Korea last month, and it's been 2 years since the last time. And I went to kind of bakeries like Paris Baguette, and I love that because they have a different kind of fancy bread, and it's cheap. You can pick, you can eat there. So that was really exciting. I think we should talk this about more later. Okay. If you have more time.
Food, yes. We still have one in here.
Yeah. Next question is, what will be I say more Korean, but Korean niche place in Korea you visited?
Like the most Korean place?
Yeah, or most different place than you ever seen in your life.
I think like Gyeongbuk Palace or where was bibimbap from?
Jeonju.
I went to Jeonju, and just the architecture is completely different. Everything looks so different. They have a lot of traditional food and a lot of people wearing like hanbok and walking around, taking pictures. I think that or Gyeongju as well is places that really stood out to me as different. So a lot of the time in Seoul looks a lot like a Western city, right? Yeah. Big buildings and similar to like a Toronto or a New York style of architecture. Right. So that to me looked very, very Korean.
So you had a travel Jeonju, Gyeongju.
Yeah. I've been to a few places in Korea as well, Busan and Jeju as well.
Oh, okay. I sometimes feel you guys probably know more than I do because I came here 7 years ago, and prior to that I was in military for 2 years, so I didn't really get a chance to travel. And before that I was student, so I had to study kind of things. But I went to Jeonju. It's all about food again. Right. But when I ordered, just there's not much of menu, just regular maybe I order regular and they have like 20 side dishes.
That's true.
Right,
Yeah.
and everything is like very special.
Yeah.
And you can refill. Right?
Yes.
Right.
Free.
We always go with the friends. So when we
Yeah.
live in a city or in a country, it's our home country. We don't have time to eat. Right? Oh, we live here. We can
Right.
always go, right? And that
Yeah.
happens to
You
everyone.
always make the
Yeah.
excuses.
Correct.
Yeah. What about you, Leora? What's your favorite place there?
It's an interesting point of view from Nick, right? So it's like architecture, those all things like man's perspective to the culture, right? I'd say
Technology.
from my side that a Korean folk village.
Yeah.
And I found that we are missing a little bit here in Canada that promoting like more cultures, like a traditional folk village. It's just amazing place to go, and I'm missing this place. So I didn't have time last time I went to Korea, of course, because I had a business trip to go and visit this place again. But it's still, I can recall those all things, interesting things. You can just feel like in real time that a Korea, like, I don't know, 50 years ago. So it's like everything literally there. You can touch, you can see, like kind of alive, right? So people are living there. It's an awesome place. Yeah.
So did you visit there with your friends?
With friends, with families, yes. Yes.
Nice. Yeah. Next is a little bit serious question, maybe. Pros and cons of Korea, South Korea. Leora, do you want to go first?
As you say, sure. Of course, my background is European. I was born in Ukraine, central part of Ukraine. And then I lived in Russia, and then I moved to Korea. In those time, in the earliest of 2000, we didn't use a lot of internet. We didn't have a lot of, the open thing and countries like as we have now, right? Like everything, everyone knows about Canada, US, Korea, so on, South Korea, excuse me. Well, like for me, when I came, I didn't expect what I saw. First of all, I didn't expect that it was a developed country yet. I found, like for the Europeans, it's like it took me for about a year to get used to some certain things, right? Because like in Europe, we used to have equality between female and men, right? So and males. So that's what I found a bit harder. But overall, like I came to Korea, I didn't know English and Korean at all. So it took me a year to understand an alphabet. I went to the university and so on. But like in terms of the traditions, cultures, and how Korean people teach their kids to respect their parents, grandparents, and sons, so and to maintain those traditions, that's what I like the most. So that's a part I would say. Pros, cons. I can't say cons. It's all different. It's a unique experience. I can't say I didn't like something. So all countries have like pluses and minuses. So in terms of South Korea, I'd say only that European and Asian cultures are a bit different. That's why you have to used to it, right? I have friends, Canadian friends, that they still live there like almost 15 years.
In Korea?
Yes, in South Korea. They live in Suwon, so they teach English as well. And they're used to it, so they're like, it's their second home country.
Right.
But it's not for all, I'd say, Europeans to live for the long time. Because of the corporate structure and those hierarchy, right? I'd say even, please excuse me, going Fridays out with a team, and it's a mandatory part of the culture, right? It's not only corporate, it's not an option, you have to go. So just something, but you have to used to it. And again, I guess that we all have to find our happiness if you want to go for it, right? And then stay till the time that you feel like that's it, so you can stay and you want some change. That's what happened with us. So that's about it.
Well, that's really good point, because I think you probably knows that our president just impeached a few months ago.
Yes.
And I'm actually going to Toronto to vote tomorrow.
Wow.
And when I look at the candidates, their declare thing is the equality of male and female is a big issue.
Yes.
Big issue. But that's a good point. It's getting better, but I know we are the worst country in OECD in terms of the equality, male and female. And the other thing is, as I said, it's been a single race country for like thousands of years, and Seoul is getting better. They have English, Chinese, and Japanese in subways, or the maps there. But if you just go outside a little bit, like 1 hour driving, 2 hours driving, there's nothing. They can speak English.
Right.
They speak different Korean too. Like I'm from near Busan called Changwon. It was funny because I spent there 20 years. When I go to university, I went to Seoul. And all of my friends said, be careful, Seoul people are very scary, dangerous.
It's true.
They will cut your nose out.
Yeah. They can recognize your accent.
Yeah, even this small country, like maximum length of 4 hours driving has a differences. And yeah, I was scared too because we think it was different place. But it's getting better.
Did you find there was big differences between Busan people and people from Seoul?
I think so. I didn't spend much time in university. I didn't like it, and I went to military earlier. But when I make a friends, how can I explain? So when you make a friends in your own country, and when you make a friends of international person, people say there are some barrier. You can open everything. You can open some part of it, but you can't really say what you want to say. Yeah. I feel the same thing. I feel like it was kind of studying abroad, the Seoul.
Wow.
But that's part of the reason why I came here, because for me it was the same to study in Seoul, study in Canada. It's the same, different country. Wow. So for me, why not trying like bigger country or bigger world? So that's what I did. But yes, there was differences. Yeah. I only have a few Seoul friends. They are not even Seoul. They're actually in Incheon. Yeah. It's different too. But I have few
friends.
Yeah, but they are good people.
Interesting. If you don't mind, I was thinking about some other point about pros and cons. It's just my feelings that 10 years ago now, comparison, right? It's interesting. Shift, yes, in South Korea, it's getting better in terms of the rights for women. I'm not saying that women has to be like the same as men's, like going to the same job, but just something like more rights, and saying that what I felt so sorry about South Korean women about they still think that they have to go to university, then they have to get married, and then they're gonna stay at home. That's it. So, and I feel so sorry. Even like last visit, because when you don't live, you don't experience it too much. And I again came back to the South Korea, and I met some of the people there, especially women, and one of women, because we shared the experience, who is doing what, like someone is taking care of kids, the family, and I just asked like, oh, what are you doing? And she said like, well, I'm just staying at home because I'm married. And I felt like so sorry because, I just wanted to help her somehow, like to find her own interests. So that's what I felt, right? And it's getting better for sure. Yeah.
We should try something else in the future? Because
No, because they have the mentality that it's just
take care of the house.
Yeah, take care of the house. Yeah, thank you, Nick. Yeah,
and age is really important criteria when you get a job in Korea. So
yes.
If you spend 10 years of your children, then you never get a job again.
Right. And I guess that youth generation right now in South Korea is changing a little bit because they travel more. Yeah. Again, South Korea was closed country for a while, right? So then it's been opened. So first people came from US, and then a lot of some foreigners started coming in to South Korea.
I'm sure they are changing because they know it's not right. Because before you didn't know because you never heard of other countries, but now I feel this is more right in Canada. Like one of the best thing in Canada is a lot of people are equal. Yeah. But it's going to change. But yeah, let's hear your opinion.
All right. So it was the pros and cons.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I think one of the best things about Korea, as she touched on, was the technology and the internet as well as cell phones. So coming back to Canada and just seeing how outrageous the pricing was for a cell phone for almost nothing, costs double what it would in Korea. And I think the technology is amazing. The other thing I found was there's always something happening. It's a country where no matter what time of night or day you go out, there's things open. You can do whatever you want. And coming back here again, it's a slower pace of life in Canada for sure. So that was hard to get used to again, where it could be 11:30 at night, and I could just I'm gonna go out and get something to eat or go meet a friend for a drink or something like that. And unless you live in the bigger cities here, that's just not really possible.
And people in Korea usually don't say no. They are actually welcome to do
Right.
that, right?
Yeah. In terms of cons, I definitely there's still some racism in South Korea. Not so much for white people. I think they're more used to white people now because it's been years since the American military has been there, and international English teachers tend to be white.
Right.
But now Korean attitudes towards South Asian people, or even I can't remember the actor's name, but it got a lot of publicity from Jung Samwita or something.
Oh yeah. I liked it for a while.
He's from Africa, I think, and he spoke out about the racism kind of he's had to deal with as a black man in South Korea. So I think that's, again, just because it's been a society where it's only been Korean people, and they've kind of opened the doors to all countries from international areas. So that's one thing I see, that it exists, but it's getting better.
Yeah.
The other thing is that maybe this is just because of my personal experience having very liberal parents, but there's a lot of family pressure on children to live that kind of traditional path that you're talking about, where it's you have to study and get great grades, or
go to university,
go to the good university. Like, don't leave the house until you're married, or else you're disappointing us. And there's you have to get married before you're 30, and there's all these rules and a lot of stress coming from families that they put on their parents or on their children because they want them to succeed. But as a result, I saw it even in my students as young as like middle school, where they're just going crazy because you know I'm not doing well on my tests. My life is falling apart, and I'm like, you're 13. Go outside, please.
Do you see that they have a more like advanced English than they supposed to have in their age?
Oh, it was amazing. To be honest, I don't know if it was the school I was teaching at, but I was teaching pretty advanced science subjects to kids in elementary school.
Wow.
So I was also teaching like American history and things that I learned in high school or university.
Yeah.
And trust me, it was very hard explaining some of them because of their age, as well as it being in their second language. But just the amount they were able to pick up, like, I was shocked.
Yeah.
They were brilliant kids.
Yeah. I feel like I'm lucky boy because I didn't hate studying. I like studying, especially math and things. And it's just this century, Korea actually catches that English is important, math is important, and language is important. I just was born in that age. But if I was born in like 100 years ago, I'm kind of loser because I don't have much of muscles. I don't work out much. It's sometimes it's so unfair, right?
Yeah.
I just didn't dislike studying.
Sure.
But some kids, they want to go out, they want to play soccer, they want to do the arts, but they can't. So because it's not popular and it's really competitive, even those things. Yeah. Well, thank you for your opinion. Do you want to say something?
Other than that, I loved it though. I don't want to sound too negative, but
no, that's the point.
I see there's room for improvement, but it's one of my favorite places on earth. So don't get me wrong.
No. So racism and family pressure. Right?
Yeah.